North Korea says that the launch of the spy satellite was successful. This is something that we have covered back in several months this year because they failed in all of their other attempts. Now we wondered what the heck this thing was actually doing, because some thought that it was a weapon or a weapon system, that it wasn't actually a satellite. They say that it is a reconnaissance spy satellite. And the most worried was Japan. In fact, Japan had made a really, really big deal about it. And of course, South Korea did not want this to happen either. They were very, very, very concerned. Now, they already have 2 satellites up in space. So it was kind of strange that there was such a huge pushback against this one. What was entailed in this one? Now, North Korea said that it just had better camera technology and better tech, that it could actually do a whole lot better at reconnaissance than at their previous versions. But something about this does not ring right. It says a rocket carrying the satellite blasted off Tuesday night from North Pyongyang province, flew along its designated path, and accurately put the reconnaissance satellite Malyong 1 on its orbit. It said North Korean leader Kim Jong-un was on hand to witness the blastoff and congratulated the scientists and technicians behind the mission. Says the United States quickly led condemnation of the launch as a brazen violation of the UN sanctions and said that it could destabilize the region. South Korea reacted by saying it would resume surveillance operations along the border with North Korea, and that had been suspended in 2018 as part of a Seoul-Pyongyang agreement to reduce military tensions. So this does not sit well with either Japan or South Korea, and the rest of our allies are basically up in arms about it. Let's bring in my co-internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Fugle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So what do you think about this? Many people thought this was a weapon. The government and the EMP task force has been worried that they have a super EMP weapon. Is there any way, can we track this thing where it's at, or is this different from their other satellites, or is this just their 3rd satellite?
It's their 3rd satellite, apparently, is what's being reported, until we hear otherwise. When it did launch, though, I do believe Japan told their citizens to shelter over it because they weren't sure what was going to happen. And as you know, Japan has had numerous tests with doing these shelters with their citizens, and they've actually had plenty of times where their citizens didn't even know what to do when this goes on, when these go off. So they've had to do this. Now, for them to issue a warning like that, it's kind of a big deal. Imagine you live in a time where you've got this warning that you think an ICBM may be hitting you, but in this case, it's just a rocket launch, as far as we know now. That's what it looked like. That's what went off. That's what they were reporting, and that's what's been reported now. Now, it was also stated that the last one a few months ago that failed, I think South Korea actually recovered some of the material from the failure. And they said, look, this is not like a high-end spy satellite. It's not going to be military grade by any means. So that's an interesting point, at least for what they found when they looked at it.
Sorry about that, guys. I just had my sound and video go out. So, by the way, I might talk about it a little bit later. Some of the stuff that's going on with the different platforms, some of the stuff that is going on with the battle with the ad blockers. I was actually just talking to Dex about this earlier. A lot of the platforms are doing these ad blocker kind of battles, and anybody that tries to block the ads, apparently there's a rumor that the platforms are either slowing stuff down for them, or they're doing this, or they're screwing up on some other end. And I don't know how accurate all of the kind of chatter about that is, but it would explain why we had so many people saying that we were buffering when really nobody else really said that we were. um, but with this whole FCC change and thing, everything that's happening right now, I think it's going to accelerate in the next couple months, especially since we're coming up on the day where we all pick our next prez. Obviously, every 4 years, there's like a cycle, and we see all sorts of crazy stuff happen. With North Korea, people are going to laugh about all of this, but the military members that we talk about, they don't laugh at this. They believe North Korea or Kim Jong-un will be used as a puppet to do a Fantastic Freddy on the world, and that he will be, some sort of tool or hammer for Xi to use. I think Xi is the real big kahuna in all of this. I think Xi is obviously above Putin, and they're number 2 in the world, but they want to be number 1, and they want to be number 1 right now. I would not put it past them to put North Korea or use North Korea and use what their abilities and everything they have to put them in harm's way for their own gain. And then we have the U.S. aircraft carrier arrives in South Korea as North signals another satellite launch. So now, obviously, they did launch it, and there was kind of a flexing of muscles. And it said a U.S. aircraft carrier steamed into South Korea's largest port on Tuesday as a deterrent to North Korea amid an anticipated satellite launch by the communist regime, which, of course, already launched and got up. It says the USS Carl Vincent, the third Navy carrier to visit the peninsula so far this year, arrived at Busan as part of an agreement between Washington and Seoul to promote the regular visibility of American military assets in the country. Of course, they parked other ships there, and then they parked nuclear-capable submarines there, just as kind of like we're right here, we're right, able to hit you. And then home ported in San Diego, the Carl Vincent is capable of carrying roughly 5,000 soldiers and 70 aircraft, according to the Navy's website. The deployment signals a combined defense posture against North Korea, the ministry release added. Cooperation between the U.S. and South Korea navies is critical to maintaining peace and security in Northeast Asia and the Korean Peninsula. So all of the weird coordination that the South Korea and U.S. are doing right now, they are drilling for hypothetical scenarios like a surprise attack from North Korea. And then, of course, all of the other kind of cut the head off the snake drills that they've been doing. At what point, year after year, we kind of see this same cycle. Now things have changed up a little bit with that hypothetical scenario that North Korea would do a first strike. I think at some point, North Korea is going to be a part of this whole start. That, or again, I think that Finland, Sweden, North Korea, or Japan will be the start, like the hot start of World War III. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And real quick, while we're here, thank you, Connie T. Thank you for supporting Be Real Beast. Thank you for right out the gate. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you guys for supporting our show. And then Paul Idis, thank you for following about 15 minutes ago. Name is Breaks. Thank you as well. Danny Jacob, thank you for subscribing. And then Jared Petzoid. Thank you guys. We've had on the back end of things, we've had all sorts of technical issues with all the platforms. As you guys know, sometimes we are always 15 minutes after that start time, but there's multiple platforms. There's Rumble. Rumble just went through a major DDoS attack. It was very, very, very strange. In fact, I pulled it up here. Maybe we'll actually come back to that. So hold on. Maybe I will come back to that. Yeah, let's come back to that. Dex, do you want to go over the AI controlled killer drones? This is crazy.
Yeah, certainly. So, both the U.S. and China have been investing heavily in creating this notion of having multiple drones or large drone swarms. And I'm not talking little DJI style. We're talking the bigger, larger drones that are flying in concert or at control of either other planes or remote controlled, or even a layer of autonomous AI, which is really what they want. They want to send a couple of fighters up and have them potentially have many what they call in the US, they're calling them the replicator drones, where they create many of these and they can fly autonomously, and they can even be given targets and take them out on their own using AI. This is obviously worrying a lot of the other governments around the world that don't have that technology, and many are even trying to create proposals with the UN to figure out how they can, put some sort of rules or restrictions around this, because it is pretty scary when you think about it. And specifically the U.S. I want to say the Pentagon announced that they're looking to pick their first replicator drone tranche by mid-December of this year. So that's a big deal if they get that contract running and into production. It's been everybody's been testing them. We've seen lots of different prototypes of these replicator drones, but just this whole notion of putting up a swarm of low cost, high powered, and equivalent to either a bomber or a fighter style,
Yep.
plane without humans in it that are
Yeah.
fully armed, fully capable.
If
Yeah.
China ever does a real invasion, here's how I think it would go. And because I think China would be the only one that really could try. I think they would EMP, knock out the power. I think that they would already have forces in place. I don't know, say like send them across our southern border, which is extremely weak and has let over 6 million people in over the last couple years, which is breaking every record possible. I would say they would, hypothetically, they could have their forces come over, cut a chicken, you drink its blood, but that would be if that happened. It's not like it's actually documented on the southern border or anything. Oh, yeah, that's right. It was. Um, but then I would also have all of the coastlines lined up with certain things, like maybe, I don't know, the California coast. I would have some sort of basic control over, I don't know, the port systems. I would have some sort of port busting bomb or torpedo, maybe even test a port a port busting torpedo. Oh, they did. And then I would practice in an area that kind of looks like all of our West Coast ports. Oh, that's right. They did that as well. And then I would also find out where everybody's weapons are. Oh, kind of like that leak that happened where all of the California gun owners and where their registered weapons are. That accidentally got leaked in the Attorney General, and it was super suspicious, and everybody questioned why it happened, and they didn't have a proper response. And then I would send in, say, like an autonomous carrier that only had drones on it, unmanned, which they have, and they are heavily focused on. And these drones would have, I don't know, like a profile of every American and would be able to target people by name. They could literally identify and attack people based on either their facial recognition or who knows, possibly other features like DNA and things like this. And then hit all of those people and then bring it in. Meanwhile, the United States is basically in chaos, just trying to get their infrastructure back up. But that would take like some sort of, I don't know, coordination with people that are on the inside. That would have to have like inside job type of status where you would have like people in our government helping them. So that couldn't happen, right? People in our government would definitely not help China take over our country or anything. And that's such a crazy scenario that, that would never happen. I mean, China, even when they start doing it, it would just fall apart because it was made in China, you know? But yeah, and of course these drones, and the IP and all of the, of course the stuff that's being stolen from us, it's not like they can make all of this stuff happen, So I breathe and I sleep well at night knowing that because, they couldn't have killer robots and AI drones or anything because they're not ahead of us in 37 out of 44 key areas in this very, very important kind of thing because the U.S. U.S. is number one. And then breaking, Rumble under major DDoS attack after CEO pledged to join Elon to fight woke censorship. Now, you could go both ways on this. You could say that Elon is playing his part. So, because this is where this is going. So, Rumble basically said, oh, we're going to help him and we're going to make sure that we're backing up everything that they do. And we're going to make sure to have our platform open so they can share videos through that platform and then put it on Twitter and X. And then immediately got DDoSed. And such a huge attack that a lot of people think that it's a state actor that's actually DDoSing them. What do you guys think? Do you think that it's some sort of small group, maybe a liberal group or something, or a right-leaning group, or do you think that this might be like an actual, I don't know, country doing it? Who knows? Maybe even our own. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's go over to the chat. We'll say hello. Hey, B Borrowed. What's going on, Piper Lynn? SL Soli. What is happening? Gray Dude. Let's see here. The Unknown Woman channel. That's an interesting name. See Hard Think. Let's see here. Beans and Frank. Maybe the CIA. Yeah, I wouldn't put it past the 3-letter agencies to do any of this. In fact, if you look throughout history and all the stuff that's already come out and the stuff that 40 years later they told us, it's pretty obvious that's kind of their MO. I think everything is a distraction, says Wide Awake and Angry. I don't disagree, but I think that saying everything is there a distraction, then you almost imply that nothing is real. That's the thing that I get from that. A lot of people say that, but they say everything is a distraction. At one point, we got to at least try to guess or prepare, even in the unlikely event that, say, 1% event, that any one of these things might be true. You kind of got to prepare for like a broad scenario to happen, because everything can't be a distraction. There's probably 99% distraction and then one real thing that happens. Tom Baja, let's do a quick roll call. Where are you from? Just a general state so we can, or province, and find other Foogle family members. Let's see here. Curb Creeper, what's going on? Nora, could it be Putin or Butt Bourbon? We've got Whatever Forever. Sharon, hey, nice to see you. James Silla. Carol, all the platforms are being looked at. Well, yeah. I mean, think about it. The FCC, the president did an executive order. It's not like this is planned or anything. I mean, that's crazy. Do you think like this is a coordinated thing to attack Elon or to attack the platforms? Or to like maybe clamp down on information? You are crazy. No, this is all coincidence, people. I'm working on my sarcasm. Ohio. We've got Ohio in the hey, Briar Patch from the Cascade Mountains. We've got Carlton Sutton, Mijda, Iowa Proud, Cody Sedlock, Overland Gear Guy from Iowa. Nice to meet you. Hey, nice to see you. Juanita Seguski. Rob, are you here? Just comment and go. Love always. Peaceful Warrior Debbie from Alberta, Canada. We've got a lot of Canadians in here. Nice to see you guys. I'm super, super happy you're here. And then Hudson Valley, New York. We've got London, UK. And we're all Winston now from Washington. Crazy thing in Washington just happened last night. There was Roz Alerts actually had there was a real police scanner issue, and this was reported in, actually documented, that there was a group of raccoons attacking a person, and they were stuck in their car. So that is on Twitter. Make sure to go check it out. Again, if you want a good laugh, then go check out my tweet earlier. What's funny is that Roz Alerts, which is about a 700,000 follower Twitter account, actually personally saw my response to that and got a chuckle out of it. So a lot more people saw that than I thought would, and it was just a joke with so it was pretty funny. So go check it out if you feel like doing that. But it was a real story. Las Vegas, we've got Revenge of the Raccoons. Yep. LOL Sergeant Sedenko. Hey, what's going on? And raccoons don't F around. No, they do not. Jammer, thank you. Captain Opana. Ilea, I don't know if you're here. J-Girl, that's me. Says I love Canadians. And then Piper Lynn, thank you, guy. Thank you, guys. America isn't mentioned in end times because we'll be goners. And then Martians watching. Hopkinson says you scared me. No, we were good. I'm sure if you watch all the way through, then you pretty much know that it was a joke. Dex, do you want to... So first of all, what do you think about the Rumble thing? Do you think and then you can go over the White House surveillance program. But what did you think about that when Rumble immediately gets attacks after backing up Elon?
And not surprised, and I'm really curious who's doing it, but I have a sneaking suspicion it's somebody on with a an opinion on that and picking a side, and probably not likely to be somebody like Russia or China. It's probably somebody else, someone else that's more activist based. So that's my opinion on it. But maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't. Usually they do come out and say, hey, they think that this was coming from here. Or we have evidence that it was coming from this group or that group, or a group will take credit for it. We'll have to see if that comes out.
Yeah, we don't know. And then it says hopefully the raccoons weren't rabid. Jay Ellisy, well, that very well could have been the case. Actual rabid raccoons are super super dangerous, and I see a lot of videos of people like grabbing them and are trying to. If there's an angry raccoon, there's a good chance that it is rabid. It's rare, but you don't want to mess with raccoons. Raccoons are actually super super scary, and if you do get rabies, it's really really sad to see the videos of the people that get rabies because they get what is that called? Agoraphobia or something? When you're afraid of water. Once you hit that stage, basically there's no turning back. You're gone. Like that's what I've heard at least. Dex, have you heard that once somebody who is bit by a rabbit, once they have rabies, once they're afraid of water, there's like no turning back. That person's basically dead. Have you known that?
I've never heard that, but I don't know much about rabies.
Yeah, it makes it so where you are absolutely not even scared of water. You can't drink water. Your body like rejects it or something. Hydrophobia, is that what it is? It's sad because there's videos of these people that they try to hand them water and they're like, but you know that person is too far gone. Like they can't. It's such a freaky weird thing. And then as far as like the White House surveillance program giving cops access to trillions of US records, it's like, here's the thing, like at some point people are going to stand up to all of these things. But for the time being, it's like people do not do anything about any of these things. Through the whole thing where the NSA was spying on us and looking through our cameras and through our computers and through our smart objects, it's like people took that lying down. I didn't understand that. I mean, people got mad. They talked about it worldwide. The whole world was mad that the NSA was spying on all of us. But I'm absolutely blown away that people basically within a year just kind of stopped talking about it. And within a few weeks, it was not, it was over in the news cycle. And it's like something like that should be a permanent concern. But us as humans, we just kind of move on to the next thing. We're like ADD. And that's back before a lot of the, people had less of an attention span. And I just can't believe that people really, didn't get super, super, super pissed off about that. Let's see here. Jungle J, the people are consume themselves to care. Just seen a Bang Bang event. Rudy Ramos, I'm sorry. I hope everybody's okay. And then says, Occam's Razor says, we can't stop it. Well, that's kind of how everybody feels, is you can't stop something like that. It's above our heads, like the FCC vote. That was an executive order done by the president. And then, of course, it was up to the FCC. They just did a vote, and then it was done. It's like we had no power over that. But what we do have power of is, and it's getting less and less, we can organize. We can have our voices heard. Heck, if it gets bad enough, they can be felt. Before we move on, I do want to remind you guys, if you haven't already, make sure to go check out EMP Shield. If you're new here, this is a really, really good device. Or if you've been waiting on something like this, I'd highly recommend getting this before a disaster, not after. Again, EMP Shield can protect your cars, your trucks, your motorcycles, your boats against not only a man-made electromagnetic pulse or EMP, it can protect you against all three phases, the quick and the slow versions of the EMPs, and it will protect you against a Carrington level event from the sun. So again, that's something that can also knock down our grid. If you want to be able to get home, or if you work far from home, or if your bug out spot is 50 miles away, then you definitely want to have this. Go over to marfooglenews.com/EMP. Anybody can put it in their car or truck. It's very, very easy. Red to red on their battery, black to black on their battery, green to ground. This is the same company that's outfitted now agencies DOD, DHS, and they are on the DEMSO team officially helping protect the Texas grid. But no government agency, no local or county is going to say, hey, by the way, we're going to pay for you to get coverage and we're going to pay for you to get protection. It's just not going to happen, and it's not in building codes, so nobody else is going to protect you. Again, you'll have to do that yourself. Go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. When you use the code MARF, you'll save $50 off per device, and you will help our independent news channel. It's pretty much the most important thing right now to share us out and to make sure that you bring in somebody new, because the next 6 months are going to be absolutely hell for us. So if you've been here for a long time, affiliates are a great way to help, but even more so, the best way to help is share us out and bring somebody new to the channel. That would be really, really great. And of course, make sure to sign up for our notifications so you know when we're going live. Dex, they are trying to replace the ATACMS, the weapons that UKR has been smashing Russia with. What is this new missile?
Well, apparently, the U.S. Army is testing a new and powerful missile that will eventually replace the MGM-140 Army Tactical Missile System, or ATACMS, as we like to call them, a weapon that was made in its battlefield debut last month as the effective strike on Russia's helicopter fleet. The Precision Strike Missile, or the PRSM program, has been in the works for a few years, and it's meant to provide field artillery units with extended long-range support and deep strike capabilities. During a demonstration last week at the White Sands Missile Range in New Mexico, the missile cleared a production qualification test flight. So it is moving much closer to being into production now. I think one of the things we think about is like how much of our ATACMS, to use that word, have we been giving away? Probably quite a bit. And are we going to replace those, or are we going to replace those with something new? It sounds very much like we're spending a lot of money to make some PRSMs, or precision strike missiles, which are upgraded versions of that that will take its place. Obviously, the industrial complex like Lockheed and others are going to make a ton of money off of this.
Yeah, and I saw other pieces and opinions that essentially that this is also a sign that they are getting ready for more than just, friendly conversation. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Ian DeBow, I got bit by a Shih Tzu. Guess it didn't like white people. Gosh, well, don't accuse. I would say don't label the dog. Maybe it was just, maybe it misspoke, It's just the fact is people are getting mislabeled left and right. And dogs, it's really hard for them to pronounce words like, white. It's a dog. You know what I mean? It could have been totally, totally friendly. Roger Smith, what is happening? Says, you can't handle the truth. Little one, T. Thank you, John Dawson. John Dawson. John Dawson. I don't know why John Dawson. That just sounds wrong. Wasn't a racist dog. I hope it wasn't. I mean, I've met him. I've met a couple privileged ones too. They just sit around all day. Did you order the code RED? Live free. What is happening? Twisted Truth. Angie K. Baron Saturday. My cat is very anti-union. Many of them are very on their own. They don't like doing that kind of stuff. I think so many spy satellites are up there that they're going to run into each other. Juanita, that's actually stuff we've covered. We've talked about, there's scientists saying that there's so many up there and whatever else. I know that not everybody here believes in all of the stuff that NASA and all of them are saying, but they're saying that if they did start hitting, that they would start this kind of domino effect and everything would start smashing into each other and it could knock out everything. That's one of those worst case scenarios that not too many people worry about, but I haven't heard any of the people that I've talked to, like military members, anything else. I've never heard about them actually concerned about that stuff. They're more concerned about stuff happening here. Active duty military members that watch the show right now that are serving, a few of them are in the Mediterranean and in the Middle East. They are more concerned about what's going to happen at home. That's what's crazy right now. Both of the people that I've talked to believe we are going to war with Iran. They have said we are going to war with Iran, but they are more concerned about what is going to happen at home. Now, somebody could hear that and say, oh, maybe it's just because they've heard maybe rumors or something and they're so far away from home and their family's home. They are literally more worried about what is happening here. That tells me something is being said over there. They know they've gotten different things that we won't get here, that they won't tell the public. If you know anything, and you can clarify in your email, adam@marfooglenews.com, or leave a message at 224-400-MARF. If you know anything and you want it kept confidential, but you want to tell us, because maybe it could help, because we are really good about saying things without saying things. If you want to let us know, it would help us. And of course, I would love to know if there's information that you don't want shared, but you do think that it would help us also help others, then please let us know. Especially if it's pertaining to the next few months. If you're local law enforcement and you saw something that's really weird, that's public, like especially something that is right out in front of everybody, but nobody's noticing, let me know. We've already had Chicago and Tennessee local law enforcement say that there's public things going on that are really, really creepy. Creepy stuff. They're obviously preparing for some sort of event going on. They're doing way more drills. They're doing way more practice for disaster events. Sort of like Cascadia Rising type events, but they are really big, not Cascadia Rising big, but they're happening all over the place. So please let us know. We would appreciate the heads up. And then if you absolutely know something's going to happen, leave us a message. Let's see here. And then the Russian economy is in bad shape no matter what the Kremlin says, Russian economist. This is from Business Insider. It says the Kremlin has been painting a rosy picture of the country's economy, even amid a swath of Western sanctions. But the real situation is bad. Igor Lipsitz, a prominent Russian economist, told Reuters. And I just can't read today. So I just want to start off, and I bet you that they are not doing too well, but they're in a war right now. But they are partners with China, and they are partners with several countries, and they are still building. They're still making crazy improvements in their country. And I think it's really good for Western media to tell us that, hey, Russia's failing, that they're poor, that their economy is failing. It's easy to look at some other country and say, oh, look at their economy, it's really bad. Look at our economy. People can't afford to go to the grocery store, for gosh sakes. People can't afford getting, $100 of groceries gets you like a day worth of food. It's absolutely stupid. If you get all of the essentials like milk, eggs, butter, this, that, you're looking at $60, $70, $100. So before we go looking at other countries, why don't we worry some more about ours? Why are they not specifically worried and looking and go, hey, how can we help this? Heck, even if they went down the list and said, okay, what can we do in the United States to make eggs cheaper? What can we do? Like, why aren't any of these politicians going, hey, how can we make this cheaper? How can we make that cheaper? What can we do overall? And most of this is happening from the supply chain, from gas, and a lot of this is happening from travel. Everything that we find at the supermarket, it has to travel. It has to go. And gas being $6 a gallon, $6.50 a gallon, that is going to make everything skyrocket. The farther the food goes, the more expensive it's going to be. The closer the food is, the more organic and homemade and overpriced it's going to be. So there's no win. There's no winning. You might be right now. It's crazy because you can get a cheaper price at some of the farmers market for fresh fruit from the garden, from somebody's garden, than you can going to the store, which is from across the planet. Because normally they up price, fancy farmers market, things like that. You can get a better price at farmers markets right now than you can at the grocery store, which usually it would be reversed. You'd, pay the premium for something that was grown here, grown down the street, or organic, or grown in small batches. It's like now it's more expensive. So that's why with Russia, whether they're failing or not, I just wonder why they don't spend more time focusing on our economy. All of our billions of dollars that we just sent over there for a conflict over there, why aren't we focused on putting that money towards something to help our supply chain, or something that would make our lives easier? People can't buy houses anymore. It's just a crazy situation. Dex, go ahead.
Well, while it's rather interesting that Lipsitz goes in and outlines all the problems with Russia's economy, from their high interest rates and the number of people that are on the brink of poverty, etc. The most interesting thing here is that their gross domestic product has still grown. It went up 5.5% in the third quarter from a year ago, which was reversing the decline. And everyone thought that they were really going to crash when it went into the original conflict, and they started back in February 2022. But the point, I guess, that I think about is the fact that the reason they're doing so well, or one of the reasons they're doing so well, is the massive amount of military spending that they're doing, and that wartime economy. And that's something we need to keep in mind, is they're spending tremendously on that. Now, some will say, oh, it's just to do the UKR event, but I tend to think they're building up because they know something bigger is coming. They know they have to go head toe to toe with NATO at some point, and that's what they're spending all their money on, and it is keeping them afloat to some degree, even if it is a facade of economics.
Yeah, exactly. Not to just state the obvious, but they could give a rat's arse about less about us. Well, yeah. Look at what Elon pointed out something in a couple of the tweets he put out there. He goes, the real battle will be between, in the future, the real battle will be between extinctionists and humanists. And if you are to drop a thing of acid and really go deep on the thing and just really think about what he's saying there, it is absolutely crazy. So at his level, the people that he deals with, the things he's overheard, and he could be a part of the system. He could be a part of all of that. He's almost saying that there's two kinds of elites. There's two kinds of super, super rich people. And this would make sense why it seems like there's a battle between two sides above us. And both are greedy, nasty elites, but both sides have different goals and different things that they have in their head. I talked to Dex about this the other day about, or maybe it was Jacob Israel. Think about Mr. Gates, for instance. Now, play devil's advocate for a second here. Think about Gates, right? Think about what Gates reads on the internet about himself. Now, all of us are susceptible to bullying and to labels and all of that kind of stuff. Now, he might have tough skin. He might not care what all these people say. But the majority of people on the internet and out in the world think that he is some sort of evil, right? Think about that if that was you that would read that, right? Well, look at every event where somebody goes nuts and just takes a bunch of people out. It's always the people that are picked on, bullied, this or that. And I know, I'm not asking you to feel bad for the guy. He's a multi-billionaire. Some of it might be jealousy of the money, whatever else. Most of it, though, is the things he's doing. Look at what he is doing. He's doing farmland, fake meats, doing all of these things, doing the this, doing the V's for animals, doing all of these things that you're like, what the heck? And when Elon says extinctionists versus humanists, if you were that person and you see 99% of people just saying so many nasty things, it's like that person could snap and say, I don't want any of these people here. They have their close circle of friends, but other than that, All of these other people, they want gone. Like they want them to be extinct. Think about that in the theme of things. Like where would be the motive to do that, right? He said if we do a really good job with the V's and everything else, we could bring down the pop. Not put it, not make it up. Meanwhile, somebody like Elon is saying, everybody should have 6 kids and we're going to have problems with, babies in diapers compared to adults in diapers, this kind of stuff. Maybe there are 2 kinds of evil elites. One has no problem with more humans on Earth and wants more humans to rule. And then the other that think that we're garbage on the piece of their, a piece of garbage on their shoe, and they want us all gone. And it's less about the environment or saving the world. It's more of like a vendetta against people they don't like, and they just don't want us on the planet. And what's crazy is he's admitted several times that these exist. So this whole world, and we think it's hypothetical or a theory or something, there are people at the very top that have been picked on their whole life, but they are the most powerful people in the world. And then they have close friends that are all the same way. They want less of us around. They think we are garbage. They think we're uneducated. They think we're this. And funny enough, like Mr. Gates didn't even finish high school, I think, he dropped out of college. But these people get this sense about themselves that they're better, they're smarter than everybody else, even though that might not be the technical thing. Now his reputation, look at how he went his whole life trying to make people think that he's smart. And, he's pointed out so many thousands of times how many books he reads, right? Because people associate reading books with being smart. That's why they even say somebody will think you're smarter just because you have books behind you. That's why you see all of these interviewers and all of these doctors and things, and they do interviews with books behind them. They've pegged that people go, oh, he's smart. He's got lots of books. It's like, you can tell these like psychological problems with these rich people just by how they act. But the freaky part about all of this is like, this is existing right now. It's all happening. And then all 9 aboard a U.S. Navy plane that overshot runway escape injury, Hawaii official says. Dex, so this was a close call. They possibly.
Yeah, I've got pictures for you in Screener if you want to pull those up. But basically, they were landing. This is equivalent of a 737. It's a P8, P8A. It's a Poseidon. It's usually a sub Hunter, and it's equivalent of a 737 sized plane. It overshot the runway and landed in the water, and it's now floating. And even the residents it's to the point now where the residents are like, "Hey, are you going to get this thing out of here?" Because it's going to end up causing, potential damage to the marine life around there in Hawaii. But in these pictures, you can see it floating. It didn't sink. It stayed intact. And as they said, all 9 were able to get off and, had minimal injuries, I guess. But it's very similar to what we saw with that, what was it, Sullenberg in the Hudson River, same type of plane that was landed in the river. So they were coming in for landing at the airport, heavy rain, only 1 mile of visibility, and they just overshot it and kept going right off the end into the water.
Wait, this is a P8 Poseidon? Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
I guess it doesn't have many windows, right? I guess I was thinking of something else. These are sub hunters, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Does anybody think it's weird that one of our really crucial planes like this overshot the runway? Like, was something wrong with the brakes, or did something happen? Was there sabotage? Like, I don't know. That's a very important plane, and if that's sitting in the water, then it's not flying above the water, trying to find Russian submarines or Chinese submarines.
$150 million plane, and they did have it lined up now with those floating, lines they put out to try to capture anything that may be leaking from it. But how do you get that out of the water? That's going to be an interesting challenge.
What is the black line that's at the closer to the cockpit?
I'm not sure. I think it's a crack, but maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
did
not.
it crack in half? And like that's looks like something cut the plane open or something. Or is that a rope around it, or is that a something that was draped over it or something? That's kind of weird.
Yeah,
It's
and
a
it is sitting on a coral reef. I don't know if it's on the coral reef, but that's what's right there off that bay. So the locals are kind of upset, for obvious reasons. But yeah, it's also curious why that happened. They're saying rain, but that's pilots land in rain all the time.
Yeah, and just to show you, let's see here. Let's go over to DuckDuckGo. P8. Somebody asked, what does it look like normally? This is what. Okay, now I get it. And then, wow, so I guess the Air Force can chime in here, but obviously there's different ways that they can outfit these. This is a P8 Poseidon, but this one has some sort of crazy long thing underneath, whereas others have domes and different kind of radars. This one has something else. Kind of reminds me of Arkham Knight, the seismic sensor things. But that's what it looks like. So this is in the water, but I don't see one that has kind of that line around it. What the heck is that? It's a massive plane. It doesn't. Your brain probably thinks of this as a normal like 747. These things are so much bigger than a normal plane. Yeah, I wonder if they have any comparisons of like it next to another plane. They're just so huge. Normally, I thought they were like a dark gray. Another thing to point out, I don't see any identifying numbers on this, and maybe it's because of the bad picture. But as you guys know, Mike Minahan, they removed a lot of the identifying numbers on all of their cargo P8 Poseidons and their cargo ships and their AC-130s and all of these different ships. They removed a lot of the identifying numbers. It makes you wonder why. Same
It's
guy. Go ahead.
I was going to say it's a 737.
That's what it's made out
Not
of?
47. Yeah, it's the same as a 737 800.
So is the
It's
747
smaller than a 747. 747s are much bigger.
So a 747 is bigger than this then.
But this is the typical plane you would probably see at the airport, sized plane you would see at the airport if you're going to go fly domestically. 737s are used everywhere. So it's your typical plane size, commercial plane size, but it's configured for military. 737 Boeing 800 ERX.
I always thought they were bigger. P8 size compare. Yeah, so there's a couple of good ones. Huh. So it's not as big as the Hercules. So this is more like a passenger jet size. Okay, so I'm wrong. So check that out. And then here's a picture comparing it to Kawasaki P1. See here. That's cool. Yeah, it looks like theirs is a little bit bigger. By the way, thank you. Thank you over on DLive Ecto 1, Poco Loco, Kiki Gray, 1 on B, Kimbria. Nice to see you guys. Hey, we've got some awesome people in there. Kathy MC, Juby Joe, always in Hawaii. I was thinking of a C-130. And then we talked about what is the other one? The A something, yeah.
There's the C5, which is massive.
Yeah. And what got me is the picture of the things that open up at the bottom. Let's see. 747 has 2 decks for more passenger carry. Oh, so the 747 is really not that much. It's just twice the height. The Hercules, though, those things are massive. The one that I saw in person in the South End, I actually took a video of it a couple of years ago. That thing just blew my mind. It was so big. It's really something when you see it flying right above you. It was flying super low. It was flying so low that I thought something was wrong. That thing was flying so low, like 500 feet. That's what it felt like. And if you've ever
And
flown it
slow.
and slow,
That's probably a C5. If I remember correctly, that's probably the C5. You look up the C5, it's huge and it can actually go about 88 miles per hour. It's one of its traits is that it can fly super slow.
were you with me when that happened?
Yeah.
And then we had people that do flight radar, and I was doing a live cell phone video, and I gave my actual location, and then the Foogle Fam flight radar folks actually like live looked it up, confirmed that it was obviously happening, and I got video of it, and they were like, "That's a blah blah blah." It was so insanely big, and that was right after a meteor came down. So a lot of us thought that maybe it was because it had certain sort of gears on it. C5 Galaxy, is that it? Yeah.
Yes, that's it.
So insane.
It's a Lockheed plane.
Yeah, that's more like it. That thing looks like it has a football field for a base. Look at that, though. And by the way, so these numbers on the back end, these are the planes that recently had a lot of the identifying numbers taken off, and a lot of the cargo ships. A lot of our Air Force planes just had their identifying numbers removed. It's very, very odd. I think they are most definitely preparing for a war.
You can throw football inside that plane for sure.
Yeah, that's nuts. Those are the planes this is the same planes, right? That in Greenland. These are the planes that are on that where you see,
The nose opens up. They
I
can front load and rear load. They're huge. They're massive.
don't think these ones. I think that's the Hercules, right?
No, the C5 nose will open up too.
Huh. That's crazy.
Yeah, I walked in one at one of those air shows. It was just unbelievably big.
Yeah, the stairs, look at how big a person is compared to that. They're tiny. The person is as big as one of the wheels. And then it goes on for football fields other than that. That's just nuts. All right, and then C-17. Oh, man, there's so many. We should do a whole show on them. Gosh, they're so cool, though. I'm fascinated by that kind of stuff. So there was a C-17 in Greenland. Well, we're all going to be confused. We're all internet experts, right? Stephen McMahon, off to work. God bless. Y'all stay salty. Thank you. Sharon Davis, happy birthday to me. Sharon Davis, happy birthday to you. And Sharon, thank you for supporting us on your birthday. We should be doing something special for you. Hey, Adam, Dex, and Mods, so grateful for our Foogle fam. Hang on to your hats. Grace for you, too. Thank you so much. Connie T, B-Real Beast, and everyone else, thank you so much for popping in tonight. Before we go any further, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go over and check out marfooglenews.com/energy. If you want a solar generator, this is one of the best. I cannot say enough good things about the Flex 1500 because it is a modular and expandable system. It can go from whatever base unit that you want to start with, and it can turn into whatever system you want it to be. That's what's great. Whatever you don't need, you don't have to have. If there's features you don't want, you don't have to put them on there. The mods can change it, can add UPS, it can add supercharging, it can add the ability to triple the amount of panels. There's all sorts of cool mods, not to mention cool accessories that are low power usage that plug right into it and run forever. This thing is really, really cool. It gets power from solar panels, or you can charge it from your wall just like a battery bank. Only this is a massive battery bank. Not to mention, it is, again, modular, so you can change its overall performance. This is really great because you can bring it with you. You can take it with you. It can be ran inside the house. It is silent. They are dead silent, so nobody's going to know that you have power. And you don't have to deal with gas. Gasoline is going to be an insane commodity if everything hits the fan. And I personally will not want to be anywhere near a gas station after everything goes down. Not to mention, we don't know if gas stations will even work. Even if they have a backup generator running, who knows for how long. New estimates basically show that if our grid goes down and if our transformers are blown, that 9 transformers could knock everything out. That even if one of them is down, again, that transformer will take 2 years minimum. And that is, again, because that is with a good supply chain, it will be 2 years. So if they really do destroy our stuff and we don't have backups, we are screwed. 2 years minimum, because these things are made for that spot. Like these are 200, 300 ton transformers that run our country. And if they take out just 9 very specific ones, then we are absolutely screwed. Let alone if they try to take out 20, 30, 40, and if they're safe with it. And then Sam Altman in talks to return OpenAI after staff rebellion. So, Dex, do you want to go over this? And this is really crazy. He was ousted at the peak. He was leading the company into ultimate success, and they fired him for essentially not communicating well.
Yeah, and everybody really wants to know why. And they're asking the board. You have to. Even the new CEO is kind of upset, saying, he came from Twitch. Even he's saying, "Hey, I don't even know if I'm going to work here if I don't get an honest answer as to why they let him go." But this, as we talked about this yesterday, he was going to Microsoft, and so what had happened was they had fired him Friday. Apparently Sunday they started to freak out and go, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that, and they asked him back. So then he said, well, I'll entertain that. But then Monday morning, Microsoft comes out and says, you know what, we've hired him. He is now coming to work for us, and we'll put him in charge of our R&D for all AI, which was a smart move on their part. Now, with the revolt of the employee base, which is pretty significant, 700 people, I believe it is, something like 90% are on board for him coming back and ousting the entire board. There he is now entertaining coming back. He's actually talking to the board members that have voted him out. And even Microsoft came out and said, hey, either way, we're going to support Sam if he's, in OpenAI or if he is as our employee. We'll go either direction, because obviously Microsoft's got skin in both games. They've now, I think they're up to 13 billion invested, which is pretty significant. I don't think they've given that much. I think they've committed to that much. I think they've given $1 billion or $2 billion, maybe more. But 13 is their commitment. But they're worth, OpenAI is now worth somewhere in between 86 and 90 $1 billion. So this is just
that fast.
It's crazy.
That fast. This company just came out of nowhere, and then boom, almost $100 billion. That's kind of comparable. They said about what is it called? Juul. If you've seen that, Juul came out of nowhere, the vape company, and they were marketing. They were like one of the first companies, just boom, to skyrocket to $100 billion or something in a certain amount of time. This is just nuts. How they got that kind of value in that kind of time. And then something to me feels like Microsoft has something to do with this. Like this is planned. What do you guys think? I'm going to go over to the chat for a second. Why do you think this has happened? I know not everybody follows this, but this is really important because AI is one of the most important things to our future, and it's not going to be good for most of us. Let's see here. Chinese chemicals, Captain Opana. I don't know what the chemicals are in the Juuls, but the Juuls were one of the few things that were made in America. That whole thing, I feel like Big Tobacco rallied against Juul. Juul helped me quit smoking when they first came out. So, again, I think that they do help. I think they do help people quit, but they said that they were, I haven't seen the full Netflix documentary on about it or whatever, but I feel it's kind of strange that they tried to take, they tried to knock Juul off the market, but what? They're going to leave cigarettes up? Cigarettes are way worse than anything else. I don't know about and then what's funny is that even if they do get knocked off the market, there will still be those Chinese, all sorts of those other companies doing those nasty, who knows how they're made, vape things. So I don't get that. Let's see here. Juby Joe completely was a mistake. They marketed to kids. So no. And I'm not justifying anything they did. They say they did. They hired that person, and I heard that they did them in flashy colors and crazy flavors or whatever. But now, as they said, I think they just have like one flavor. It's just like, or it's two flavors. It's like tobacco or menthol. Either way, I don't think the reason to get rid of them, fine them, do whatever else, but to say that, oh, now kids are gonna do it because they're out there. I mean, kids are gonna do whatever back in the day, kids would smoke. They would go behind the barn and smoke. You can't stop that. But what is better, vaping or smoking? Smoking has 400 and something chemicals in it. Vaping has, however many, 1 or 2 or 5 or something. Let's see here. Cigarettes are great. Yeah. Camel Joe, bring back the miles too. I actually, my mom smoked Camel 100s and she smoked the non-filters before she died of emphysema and COPD. She had everything lung related, but I remember her and one of her native ex-boyfriends that he had collected all of the Camel Bucks or Camel Bucks. Oh no, I think he had it's Marlboro Miles and Camel Bucks. But he had these I couldn't believe how many Camel Bucks he had. And he ended up ordering like a crazy TV back then. Like to buy a TV with Camel Bucks was like you smoked hundreds of thousands of packs. It was just nuts. Camel trash, yep. They do have lithium batteries in those. I remember those. Yeah. They used to have dollar bills on the back. If that wasn't marketing towards kids, like, oh, you get something, you get prizes. It's just nuts. All right. Well, Dex, let's go over the web only. We got a lot of crazy stuff over here. And yeah, it's getting even nuts. More nuts.
Yes, we certainly do. Head over to marfooglenews.com, click on the thumbnail for the show, or hit the show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you to this webpage with everything we just covered. You'll find all the links and sources to all of it right there. Scroll down, you get to the yellow bar. It says overflow. This is the rest of the story. Speaking of Mr. Gates, he was laughing off the idea of an evil plot, and I'll let you guys read more into that, but it has everything to do with what we all think about what most of us think goes on between him and even the other famous doctor, everyone's favorite Dr. F. But he sort of joked it off in an interview. So if you want to know more about it, that's definitely a hot, sensitive topic. But yeah, go check that one out. It's definitely worth it. Go to our website, click the link, you'll find it. A lot of other things happening, especially in the political spectrum. It's all covered there with what's going on with the cases with T-Man, with what's going on with even your Bang Bang rights and what's happened in Maryland, as well as other statistics that have come out about the number of Americans owning them is at a record high. That and a lot more, including updates across the Middle East and updates around other things in the political spectrum. So if you're looking for it, it's the rest of the story. We put it together for you every night. It's right there on the website, or you can click that show notes link down below in the description. It'll take you right here.
And by the way, we actually covered this. We should cover it says Trump company sues outlets, says falsely reported Truth Social lost $73 million. Didn't we cover that? We covered that his company lost all sorts of money and that it was going broke. So I feel like we almost should correct that if it's wrong. But it makes sense. They're basically trying to make him look like he's a failure. T-Man just went in a public speech the other day. It was one of his rally speeches or something, but I listened to a good part of it. He said that, and I don't know if this is true because I haven't been watching the actual case stuff, but they went in and said that his company was just all sorts of fraudulent and really bad and that they were failing. And then they found out that it was actually doing well. Do you follow the case? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, let us know what has been the most surprising thing out of that case, or out of the crazy the lawsuits and the things against him for his companies. All right, and then Dex, thank you so much for your service tonight. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Much love, brother.
And thank you so much. Again, top supporters tonight, Grace for you too, and Sharon Davis. Happy birthday, Sharon. Really appreciate you. Be Real Beast, Connie T, Stephen McMahon. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And of course, all this week, thank you, Carol, Blissfully Layla, Kay Parker Fraser, Liz W, Trilicit, Trusted Source. I just wanted to scroll back a little bit. Thank you, Danish Girl, Julie Pilkerton, Tennessee Mountain Girl, wherever you are, Woman of Wonder. Thank you. Again, thank you as well for saying hi over on Twitter. And Merlin, Trusted Source, again, thank you for the last month popping in. Ilea, thank you for being awesome. Antonio Naftali, Stormblade X69. Thank you, Jammer, for holding down the chat. Thank you again. Chance Paladin has his great books over on Amazon. Go check out Trinity Red or Blue Pill. Go check out Rip. Go check out all of the mods at marfooglenews.com/friends. All right, and you guys have a great night. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. Be safe, be prepared, and Marf out.